And so now if you want to know about a time when I thought I was going to die, that happened at the beginning for those of you who are joining us. Somebody asked me another question. I think I want to triangulate a little bit, or biangulate with two.
If you could have your last meal, who would it be with?
Okay, so not, well, okay.
Or what would your last meal be?
Well, that's easy. The last meal is always pizza. Yeah. So, okay. When I was in high school, I got into theater, and I would do drama. We'd have plays, and the exciting thing about plays is afterward you got to have a cast party.
Yeah.
And you have it, and because we were squeaky clean, nice, clean-cut kids down in the Canandaigua school district. It was always at somebody's parents' house, and we're in high school, and it was always very chaperoned and monitored and stuff. And we all thought that we were like really cool and rebellious kids, but we were not at all. We were craving structure in the form of saying other people's words that they wrote. So really, it was like, yeah, just tell me what to do, Mr. Director. And so we had, we were in these one-act plays, and after that, the cast party was at this girl Abby's house, and Abby lived up in the hills south of Canandaigua, along one side of the lake, so not that far from Bristol, actually, Bob. And this also is a story of winter harrowing things that happen. So we went up there. I think I got dropped off by a parent or something, or maybe I rode in with some people, but I was going to get a ride home with a guy who lived in my neighborhood. This guy named John, and he remains a friend of mine to this day. But he lives in Australia now with his wife, who's also, I actually introduced him to his wife, so he owes me a lot, especially considering what happens in this story. John was going to give me a ride home, and we were at this party, and we're all hanging out and whatever, and John was and probably remains the world's biggest X-Files fan. And this was in like 1996 or 1997, so this is like prime X-Files time. It was like, and X-Files aired on Sunday nights at that time, on Fox, yes. It's true, that's the network. And and this is not before the age of DVRs and whatnot, and you really had to program your VCR and stuff, or if you're lucky you have the VCR Plus option where you could punch in a number and it would kind of sort of work. And yeah, so he wanted to get home in time for the X-Files, so I was sort of stuck with him in this fashion. And before we left Abby's house, which was like this beautiful like cabin that they had built into the side of this hill on a crazy narrow road in the middle of it would have been December at the time, a few weeks before Christmas, and there we are up on the top of this snowy hill, and Abby's dad said to John as we're leaving, now, you have to be really careful going down this hill. You're going to want to go like 10 miles an hour. And he said, emphatically, 10. I'm not kidding. 10 is the miles per hour that you should be going. John was like, yeah, sure. And then we get in the car. It's before they call them SUVs. It was like a Chevy Blazer or something like that. It was like his dad's, whatever. And so we get in there, and we start going down the hill. Now, John doesn't go like 100 miles an hour down the hill, but John goes, I don't know, 30. And we go around a turn that is not so much like a curve in the road as there should be like a stop sign or a traffic light here indicating that you stop and then make a 90-degree turn to the left. So he sees it coming, realizes that we're completely screwed, and really leans into this turn trying to make it around, and, like hits the brakes or whatever you do that you're not supposed to do. And all the things that you're not supposed to do, those are the things that he did in this situation. And we start, yes, going around the curve, and yes, going down the hill, but at this point we're doing it sideways. So I am, looking out the window at the road that we're going down this way, out of the passenger seat. So, and at this point, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he says to me, shut up. As though I'm the one with the problem. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to, screw up your concentration. You're doing such a great job so far. I didn't want to, throw a monkey wrench in there, considering everything's going so great right now. And an amazing miracle happened, folks. Like he turned the wheel the other way, or remembered something from driving school, or Jesus himself descended from heaven and threw salt on the road in front of us. That's a big Jesus. We got salt, and there's a lot of salt in the Bible. Rather it was wine, but it was salt. And then and saved us, because apparently I had to be here today to with Kristen put on a touchy-feely storytelling show. And I still remind him of this thing that happened, and he's still angry at me as though it was my fault. You do, when you feel as though you nearly just died, it is, but you make it on the other side. It is really like the most exhilarating feeling. I'm sure many of you have like a near miss in your life, where suddenly it's like the world is completely broken open into possibilities, and you feel as though it doesn't matter at this point what it is that I do, or in the same way, like, oh, I could do anything right now because I've just been given this like crazy chance. Like, I could be dead, but now I'm alive. So those moments are really cool to suddenly take stock of yourself and say, well, why don't I do more of this or that, or why am I wasting the time that I have in my life? And it is amazing how quickly that moment fades. You get back home. I remember going into my house and turning on the X-Files because goddammit, we nearly died for whatever the hell Mulder and Scully were doing. And we probably a liver-eating monster that crawls through the vents in your house. And then everything just turned back to normal. But you do have the story, and if you remember, then maybe you can, get back some of that feeling again. Thank you very much, everybody.